March 12, 1954, 7:58 p.m. Raymond Quick Lewis arrived at Small's Paradise 30 minutes early, like always. That's why they called him Quick. Not because he was fast, because he was prepared, always thinking ahead, always anticipating, always protecting. He'd been Bumpy Johnson's bodyguard for 8 years. Never failed, never hesitated, never questioned. His job was simple: keep Bumpy alive, at any cost. Raymond checked the restaurant, every entrance, every exit, every window, every person. Waiters, cooks, customers. Anyone could be a threat. He took his position, 3 feet behind Bumpy's usual table, close enough to protect, far enough to give privacy. 8:14 p.m. Bumpy arrived with Mamie, sat at his table. Raymond stood behind him.
Silent, watchful. A waiter approached. Italian guy. New. Raymond's instincts fired. "Who's that?" Raymond asked the manager. "Tommy Marciano. Started last week. Good references." "Where from?" "The Bronx." Raymond's jaw tightened. The Bronx. Genovese territory. "Keep an eye on him."
The manager nodded, walked away. Tommy brought menus, smiled. "Good evening, Mr. Johnson, Mrs. Johnson. What can I get you tonight?" Bumpy didn't look up. The usual: biftec, rare, mashed potatoes, green beans. Tommy nodded. "And for you, Mrs. Johnson?" "Same." Tommy walked to the kitchen. Raymond watched him. Something felt wrong. "What's wrong?" Bumpy asked quietly. "Don't know yet. Just a feeling." "Your feelings are usually right." Raymond kept watching. 20 minutes later, Tommy returned. 2 plates. Steak, potatoes, beans. He set them down. Bumpy reached for his fork. Raymond's hand shot out, stopped him. "What?" "Let me check it first." "Bumpy, it's fine. It's my job." Raymond took Bumpy's plate, cut a piece of steak. Standard protocol.
Raymond had been food taster for 8 years. Ate before Bumpy ate, drank before Bumpy drank. That's how you stay alive. He put the steak in his mouth, chewed, swallowed, tasted normal. Maybe I'm paranoid. He took another bite, to be sure. Then his throat started burning. Not bad, just odd. "You okay?" Mamie asked. Raymond nodded. "Yeah, just..." Then the pain hit, like fire, starting in his stomach, spreading, fast. Raymond stumbled, grabbed the table. His face went pale. "Quick!" Bumpy jumped up, caught him.
Raymond collapsed, convulsing, foaming at the mouth. His eyes rolled back. "Someone call an ambulance!" Mamie screamed. Bumpy held Raymond, trying to stop the convulsions, but Raymond was seizing, violently. "Quick, stay with me!" Raymond's eyes found Bumpy's, tried to speak, but couldn't. Just blood, coming from his mouth, his nose, his ears. Poison. The realization hit Bumpy like a bullet. Someone poisoned the food. Raymond took the bite meant for him. Raymond saved his life. The ambulance arrived in 4 minutes. Paramedics rushed in, started working on Raymond. What did he eat? Steak. When? 3 minutes ago. They loaded Raymond onto a stretcher. Bumpy tried to follow. "Sir, you can't. I'm coming." "Sir, family only." "I'm his family."
Bumpy climbed into the ambulance, held Raymond's hand. The ambulance raced to Harlem Hospital. Raymond's vitals were crashing, BP dropping, heart rate erratic, breathing shallow. "He's going into shock," paramedics shouted. "Start an IV, push fluids." They worked frantically, but Raymond was dying, and everyone knew it. 8:42 p.m., Harlem Hospital emergency room. Dr. Morris Chen met them. What happened? Poison in his food. What kind? Don't know. Symptoms? Seizures, bleeding from orifices, organ failure. Dr. Chen's face went grim. Arsenic, mixed with cyanide. How long ago? 25 minutes. Then we don't have much time. They rushed Raymond to treatment, pumped his stomach, gave him activated charcoal, antidotes, but the poison had spread,
into his bloodstream, his organs, his brain. Raymond's body was shutting down. Bumpy stood outside the treatment room, watching through the window, watching his friend die. Mamie arrived, ran to him. Is he? Still alive? Barely. This is my fault. No, this was meant for you, which makes it my fault. If he dies, Mamie's voice broke. It's my fault. Junie and Willie arrived, heard what happened, rushed over. Boss, who did this? Bumpy's voice was ice. Genovese. How do you know? Because Raymond checked the waiter, Tommy Marciano, from the Bronx, Genovese territory. This was an assassination attempt. Junie's fists clenched.
We need to move on, Genovese. Now. Not yet. Why not? Because Quick is still alive, and I'm not leaving until I know he's going to make it. What if he doesn't? Then Genovese dies. Slowly. 9:30 p.m. Dr. Chen came out. How is he? Alive, but barely. The poison damaged his liver, kidneys, heart. We're doing everything we can, but... He stopped. But what? Even if he survives the night, the damage might be permanent. What does that mean? It means he might never wake up. Or if he does, he might not be the same. Can I see him? Dr. Chen nodded. 5 minutes.
Bumpy entered the room. Raymond lay in the hospital bed, tubes everywhere, machines beeping. His face was gray, lifeless, but his chest was still moving, barely. Bumpy sat beside him, took his hand. Quick, I don't know if you can hear me, but I need you to fight. You've been with me for 8 years, protected me, saved me, more times than I can count. And tonight, you saved me again. But I can't lose you. You're not just my bodyguard. You're my brother. So fight. Please. Raymond's hand twitched, just slightly, but Bumpy felt it. That's it. Fight. 10 p.m. Maria Lewis arrived, Raymond's wife, 8 months pregnant. She ran into the hospital, crying. Where is he? Where's Raymond? Mamie intercepted her, held her.
Maria, you need to calm down. The baby. I don't care about the baby. Where's my husband? He's in treatment, room 4. Maria ran, burst through the door, saw Raymond, collapsed. No, no, no. Bumpy caught her, helped her to a chair. Maria, he's still alive. But for how long? I don't know. What happened? Someone poisoned my food. Raymond ate it first. He saved me. Maria looked at Bumpy, tears streaming. He was doing his job. His job is going to kill him. Maria, I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't bring him back. I know. I'll fix this. I'll make them pay. That doesn't help me, she was screaming now. That doesn't help my son, my baby. She put her hand on her pregnant belly. He's supposed to meet his father. He's supposed to grow up with him. And now...
She couldn't finish, just sobbed.
Bumpy knelt beside her. Maria, I promise you, if Raymond doesn't make it, I will take care of you, and your son, and little Raymond. They'll never want for anything. I don't want your money. I want my husband. I know, and I'm going to do everything I can to give him back to you. 11:47 p.m. Dr. Chen came in. He's stabilizing. What? His vitals are improving. Heart rate's up. Blood pressure's rising. He's fighting. Can I talk to him? He's unconscious, but he might be able to hear you. Go ahead. Bumpy approached the bed. Quick, you're doing good. Keep fighting. We need you. Maria needs you. Your kids need you. So don't you dare give up. Raymond's eyes fluttered, opened slightly. Bumpy, his voice was barely a whisper. I'm here. The food. Was it meant for you? Yes. Good. Then I did my job. You saved my life. That's what I'm here for. You're more than that. You're family. Raymond smiled weakly. Then treat me like family. How? Get the bastard who did this. I will. Promise me. I promise. Raymond closed his eyes, rested. But he was alive. March 13th, 1954, 2 a.m. Bumpy left the hospital. Junie and Willie were waiting. Time to move? Time to move. Where do we start? The waiter.
Tommy Marciana. Find him. They found Tommy at a boarding house in the Bronx, dragged him out of bed, brought him to a warehouse in Harlem.
Tommy was terrified, tied to a chair. Bumpy walked in, calm, quiet, terrifying. "Tommy," Bumpy said, "you poisoned my food." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't lie. My friend is dying because of you." "I didn't. I was just doing what I was told." "Who told you?" Tommy hesitated. Bumpy pulled out his razor, opened it slowly. "I'm going to ask one more time. Who told you?" "Vito Genovese. He paid me $10,000. To poison you?" "How?" "He gave me the poison, told me to put it in your steak, said it was tasteless, odorless, that you'd be dead in an hour. But your guy tasted it first. I didn't know he'd do that. Nobody told me. So it's your fault he's dying." Tommy started crying. "I'm sorry. I needed the money. My family." "Your family?"
Raymond has a family, a pregnant wife, a 5-year-old son, and now they might lose him because you needed money. Please, I'll do anything." "You will. You're going to testify. Against Genovese." "What?" "You're going to tell everyone what he did, that he ordered this. And then I'll decide if you live or die." 6 a.m. Bumpy returned to the hospital. Dr. Chen met him. "How is he?" "Worse. The poison damaged his kidneys. They're failing. We're trying dialysis, but it's not enough."
"What are his chances, honestly?" 20%. "And if he survives?" "He'll need a kidney transplant, maybe a liver. His life will never be the same." Bumpy sat down, put his head in his hands. "This is my fault." "No," Dr. Chen said. "This is Genovese's fault." "Maybe, but Quick took that bullet for me." 8 a.m. Raymond woke up, asked for Bumpy. Bumpy rushed to his bedside. "Quick, Bumpy." His voice was weak. "How you feeling?" "Like I'm dying." "You're not dying. We're going to get you through this." "Bumpy, listen, I need to say something." "Don't. Save your strength." "No, I need to say this, while I still can." Bumpy sat down, listened. "I've been your bodyguard for 8 years. Best job I ever had. You treated me like family, not an employee. Family."
"And last night, when I tasted that food, I knew something was wrong, but I ate it anyway. Why? Because that's what family does. We protect each other, at any cost." "Raymond, you didn't have to." "Yes, I did. Because if I didn't, Maria would be a widow. Little Raymond would grow up without a father. And this new baby? He'd never meet me. But if I took that poison, maybe you'd survive. Maybe you'd take care of my family. And maybe my sacrifice would mean something." Raymond started coughing. Blood. Dr. Chen rushed in. "You need to rest." Raymond grabbed Bumpy's hand. "Promise me something. Anything."
"Take care of them, Maria. The kids. Make sure they're okay. I promise. And Bumpy? Kill the bastard who did this." "I will." Raymond smiled. "Then I can die in peace." "You're not dying." "Yes, I am. And that's okay. Because I did my job. I protected my family." Raymond closed his eyes. The monitors started beeping. Erratically. Dr. Chen checked them. "We're losing him." "No." Bumpy grabbed Raymond's hand. "Quick, stay with me. Don't you dare give up." But Raymond was fading. His breathing shallow. His pulse weak. Maria burst into the room. "Raymond." She ran to the bed. Held him. "Baby, please, don't leave me." Raymond's eyes opened. One last time. Looked at Maria. "Love you. Always." Then he looked at Bumpy. Nodded. Once. And died. 4:23 a.m. March 13th, 1954.
Raymond Quick Lewis, age 32, dead from poison meant for Bumpy Johnson. Maria collapsed on his body, screaming, crying, begging him to wake up, but he was gone. Bumpy stood there, frozen, his best friend, his brother, his protector, dead because of him. Mamie held him, whispered, "This isn't your fault." "Yes, it is." "No, this is Genovese's fault, and you are going to make him pay." Bumpy looked at Raymond's body, at Maria sobbing, at the machines that had stopped beeping. "Yes," Bumpy said quietly, "I am."
March 13th, 1954, 5 a.m. Bumpy Johnson walked out of Harlem Hospital. Junie and Willie were waiting by the car. "Boss?" "Raymond's dead." The words hung in the air like smoke. Junie's face went hard. Willie's fists clenched. "When do we move?" "Now." They drove to Bumpy's house. Inside, 40 men were waiting. Every soldier, every enforcer, every person who owed Bumpy loyalty. Bumpy stood in front of them, his eyes red, his voice steady. "Raymond Lewis died this morning, poisoned. The poison was meant for me. He took it to protect me, did his job, paid the ultimate price." Silence, heavy, painful. Vito Genovese ordered this, gave the poison to a waiter named Tommy Marciano, told him to put it in my food. Raymond ate it first, saved my life.
Lost his. Murmurs of anger through the room. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to war. Not a small war, not a territorial dispute, a war of annihilation. Genovese dies. Everyone who helped him dies. Everyone who knew about this and said nothing dies. We're going to burn his empire to the ground, and we're going to do it in 48 hours. The room erupted, men shouting, weapons being checked, plans being made.
But Bumpy raised his hand. Silence fell. "One more thing. Raymond's funeral is tomorrow. We're going to give him the biggest funeral Harlem's ever seen. Every person in this room will be there, in your best suits, showing respect. Because Raymond wasn't just my bodyguard, he was family, and family gets honored." Everyone nodded. Dismissed. The men filed out, started preparing. Junie stayed behind. "Boss, how do you want to handle Genovese?" "I want him alive." "Alive?" "For now. I want him to see what's coming. Want him to feel it. Then I'll kill him myself." "What about Frank Costello?" "What about him? He'll try to negotiate. Let him try. This isn't negotiable. Raymond's dead. Genovese dies. End of discussion." 10 a.m., the first strike.
Bumpy's men hit 6 Genovese operations simultaneously. A gambling house in the Bronx, raided, cash taken, 3 enforcers hospitalized. A loan shark office in Queens, burned to the ground, records destroyed. A drug warehouse in Brooklyn, inventory stolen, 2 guards killed. A speakeasy in Manhattan, shut down, owner beaten. A protection racket in Harlem, ended, collectors chased out. And Genovese's favorite restaurant, where he ate lunch every day, bombed. Nobody inside, but the message was clear. We're coming.
By noon, Genovese got the reports, all of them. His consigliere was panicking. "Boss, they hit us everywhere. How much did we lose? 300,000. In one morning?" "Yes, and it's not stopping. Johnson's got men everywhere. What do you want to do?" Genovese thought, then made a call. "Get me Frank Costello." 2 p.m. Frank Costello arrived at Genovese's social club, sat across from him. "Vito, what did you do?" "What I had to. You tried to kill Bumpy Johnson. And you killed his bodyguard instead, Raymond Lewis, a father, a husband. You made this personal. It was already personal. No, before this it was business, territory, money. But you killed a man's brother. Now it's blood." Costello leaned forward. "Do you understand what you've done? Bumpy Johnson has spent 30 years building respect in Harlem, building loyalty, and you just gave him a cause, a martyr. Raymond Lewis died protecting him. That makes Raymond a hero, and heroes inspire wars. I can handle Bumpy Johnson." "No, you can't." "Why not?" "Because he's not coming after your money, he's coming after your life. Let him try." Costello stood up. "I came here as a courtesy, to warn you.
Bumpy's not going to negotiate. He's not going to settle. He's going to kill you. And I'm not going to stop him.
Why not? Because you broke the rules. You poisoned food. That's coward shit. And cowards don't get protection. Costello walked out, left Genovese alone. Vito Genovese, for the first time in his life, felt fear. 4 p.m., Bumpy visited Maria Lewis, Raymond's widow. She was at home, family around her, trying to comfort her, but she was inconsolable. Bumpy knocked. Maria's mother answered. Saw Bumpy. Her face hardened. You. Can I speak with Maria? She doesn't want to see you. I understand, but I need to. Why? So you can apologize? Apologizing won't bring my son-in-law back. I know, but I made him a promise, and I need to keep it. The mother hesitated, then let him in. Maria was sitting in the living room, holding Raymond's wedding photo.
5-year-old Raymond Jr. was beside her, confused. "Mama, when's Daddy coming home?" Maria couldn't answer, just cried. Bumpy knelt in front of her. "Maria." She looked up, eyes red, swollen. "You killed him." "No, Genovese killed him." "Same thing. He died protecting you. That makes it your fault." "You're right. It is my fault, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making it right." "How?" "By taking care of you and your kids, and by making sure the man who did this pays." Maria's voice was venomous. "Paying isn't enough. I want him dead."
He will be. By tomorrow night? Promise? I promise. Bumpy pulled out an envelope, handed it to her. What's this? $50,000. Blood money? No. It's not payment. It's support. For you. For little Raymond. For the baby. Raymond made me promise to take care of you. So I am. Maria stared at the envelope. This doesn't make it better. I know. But it's a start. She took the envelope, then spoke quietly. Make him suffer. I will. 6 p.m. Bumpy's men found Tommy Marciano, the waiter who poisoned the food, brought him to Frank Costello. Costello questioned him, recorded everything, then called Bumpy. I've got your waiter. Good. He confessed. Everything. Genovese paid him, gave him the poison, told him exactly how to do it.
I need him to testify. To who? The commission. What? I'm calling a meeting. All 5 families. Tomorrow morning. You're going to present your case, and they're going to decide. Decide what? Whether Genovese lives or dies. I've already decided. He dies. Bumpy, if you kill him without commission approval, you start a war with all 5 families. So you'll lose. Even you can't beat all of us. Then they better approve it. 8 p.m. The commission meeting was set. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Neutral location. All 5 bosses. Frank Costello, Vito Genovese, Carlo Gambino, Tommy Lucchese, Joe Bonanno, and Bumpy Johnson. Genovese tried to argue. I'm not sitting at a table with a... Frank cut him off. You'll sit, or you'll die tonight. Your choice.
Genovese sat. March 14th, 1954, 9 a.m. Raymond Quick Lewis's funeral. Abyssinian Baptist Church. Packed. Over 2,000 people. Raymond's casket at the front, draped in flowers. Maria in the front row, holding little Raymond's hand, 8 months pregnant. Reverend Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. gave the eulogy. Raymond Lewis was a protector, not just of one man, but of a community. He stood between danger and safety, between chaos and order. And yesterday morning, he made the ultimate sacrifice. He gave his life so another could live. That's not just duty, that's love. The congregation wept. Bumpy sat in the back, couldn't bring himself to sit up front, felt too guilty. Mamie beside him, holding his hand. This isn't your fault, she whispered.
Yes, it is. He died because of me. He died because of his choice. To protect you. Honor that choice. Don't let guilt destroy you. Bumpy said nothing, just stared at the casket. After the service, they carried Raymond to the cemetery, lowered him into the ground. Maria threw a flower on the casket, then collapsed. Bumpy caught her, helped her to a chair. "I can't do this," she sobbed. "Yes, you can." "How?" "Because Raymond needs you to. For your kids. You're their mother, their protector now." Maria looked at him. "Then you better keep your promise. Make him pay." "I will. Today."
10 a.m., the commission meeting. A warehouse in Queens. 5 Italian bosses. Bumpy Johnson, Tommy Marciano in chains. Frank Costello spoke first. "We're here because Vito Genovese violated our rules. He ordered a hit, using poison. That's against our code." Genovese stood up. "I had every right. Bumpy Johnson has been encroaching on my territory. So you poison his food, like a coward. I did what was necessary. And you killed an innocent man. Raymond Loomis wasn't the target." "Exactly. You killed the wrong man. And now you owe a blood debt." "To who?" "To Harlem." Bumpy stood up. "Raymond Lewis was my bodyguard, my friend, my brother. He had a wife, 8 months pregnant, a 5-year-old son. And yesterday, he died. Eating poison meant for me."
Doing his job, protecting me. Bumpy walked to Tommy. This man, Tommy Marciano, confessed. Genovese paid him $10,000, gave him arsenic and cyanide, told him exactly how to poison me. Tommy nodded. "It's true, I did it. He paid me." Genovese stood up. "This is a setup. You tortured him, made him lie." Frank pulled out a recording, played it. Tommy's voice, clear, unprompted, confessing everything. Genovese went pale. The commission listened. Then Carlo Gambino spoke. "Vito, you're a disgrace." "What? You used poison. You killed an innocent man. You brought shame on all of us. This is not how we operate." Joe Bonanno agreed. "If we allow this, we're no better than animals. There must be consequences."
"What kind of consequences?" Tommy Lucchese looked at Bumpy. "What do you want?" "Justice. Define justice." "Genovese's life. For Raymond's." The room went quiet. Frank spoke carefully. "If we approve this, it sets a precedent. Any boss can be killed for violating the code." "Good," Bumpy said. "That's exactly the precedent we need." The 5 bosses looked at each other, then nodded, one by one. Genovese's face went white. "You can't do this." "We just did. You have 24 hours to get your affairs in order. Then Bumpy decides how you die." "No, this is murder." "This is justice." Genovese tried to run. Bumpy's men blocked the door. "It's over, Vito. You lost." March 14th, 1954.
Bumpy brought Genovese to the same warehouse where Raymond had been poisoned, tied him to a chair. Genovese was crying now, begging. "Bumpy, please, I'll give you anything. Money, territory, anything." "You can't give me what I want." "What do you want?" "My brother back. And since that's impossible, I'll settle for your life. Please, I have a family." "So did Raymond. A pregnant wife, a young son. Did you think about them when you ordered the poison?" "That was business." "Business? You call murdering a father business?" "I didn't mean to kill him. I meant to kill you." "Then you failed. Twice. First, you failed to kill me. Second, you failed to avoid consequences. Now you pay." "How?" "The same way Raymond died. Poison." Bumpy pulled out a vial. "Arsenic, mixed with cyanide. Same dosage you gave Tommy. You're going to drink it, and you're going to die. Slowly, painfully, the way Raymond did." "No, please." Bumpy forced the vial to Genovese's lips. "Drink." Genovese tried to resist, but Bumpy was stronger. He drank. The poison hit his system. Within seconds he was convulsing, foaming at the mouth, bleeding, dying. Bumpy watched. No emotion, just waited. It took 43 minutes. the same amount of time Raymond suffered. When Genovese finally died, Bumpy stood up, walked out. It's done. March 15, 1954, Maria Lewis went into labor, gave birth to a healthy baby boy. 8 pounds. Perfect. The nurses asked, "What's his name?" Maria looked at the baby.
Thought about Raymond, about his sacrifice, about Bumpy's promise. His name is Raymond Johnson Lewis. The nurse wrote it down. That's a strong name. It is, Maria said, because he's named after 2 strong men. One who died protecting his family, and one who avenged him. March 20th, 1954. Bumpy visited Maria, met the baby, held him. He looks like Quick. He has his eyes, Maria agreed. Bumpy handed her another envelope. What's this? A trust fund. For both kids. College, business, whatever they need. It's all there. You don't have to. Yes, I do. I made Raymond a promise. This is part of it. What's the other part? Making sure they know who their father was. A hero. A protector. A man who gave his life for what he believed in.
Maria cried. Thank you. For what? For keeping your promise. It's the least I could do. Years later, in 1975, Raymond Johnson Lewis graduated from Columbia University, top of his class. At graduation, he gave a speech. My father died when I was born, giving his life to protect a friend. I never met him, but I know who he was, because Bumpy Johnson made sure I knew, told me stories, showed me pictures, taught me what it means to be a man. My father was Raymond Quick Lewis, a bodyguard, a protector, a hero, and I'm going to spend my life living up to his legacy. The crowd applauded. Bumpy, now 70, sat in the audience, tears streaming down his face. Mamie beside him. You kept your promise. I had to, for Quick. He saved your life.
And you saved his family. That's what brothers do. If this story of loyalty, sacrifice, and a debt paid in blood moved you, hit that subscribe button. Drop a like if you believe real friendship means protecting each other at any cost. Share this with someone who needs to hear about the bodyguard who took a bullet meant for his boss, and the boss who spent his life honoring that sacrifice. What would you have done in Bumpy's position? Let me know in the comments. And remember, loyalty isn't just words, it's action. Raymond Lewis proved that, and Bumpy Johnson never forgot.